practices. The only problem is there's no definition of best management practices. And it's enforced by one man. One man for millions of acres of land. I mean, hell joke. So, everybody asks, why does the Kissimmee, Taylor Creek, Fish Eating Creek, why is the phosphorus nitrogen levels coming into the lake so high? Well, it's because nobody's made an adequate effort to control the water on the people's lands who are pumping it or discharging it into the waters of the people. So when Adam comes down and asks you for his vote, let's ask him what he's doing to stop agricultural pollution of this state, because it's the #1 issue. Now back to this reservoir. Eric has given you a brilliant, brilliant briefing, and he's right on. Speaking for myself, I really don't give a damn where it is, as long as it's connected to one of the huge canal systems that's already there, so that water can flow, Carl, forgive me, the water can flow down that canal and into a major reservoir that will relieve the St. Lucie and the Caloosahatchee from extraordinary outfalls over too many years. Simple as that. Do it! Do it! Do it!
I agree with
all of what you said, and this is the same thing that the Rivers Coalition has been supporting for more than 10 years. We've had lots and lots of details. The concept's basically the same. It's nothing new. But what we don't have is support from an elected official.
Yeah, correct.
We don't have, Negron's not our friend. Do you know that at the hearing he said we don't need to buy more land? He said that at the hearing.
Right.
He hasn't been a champion of the Legacy Amendment. Nobody has in office. It's a joke. We're pretending that we have dedicated officials when we don't. Scott, didn't you read Scott? His proposals are for north of the lake. They're not for south of the lake. Why do we put words in their mouth and give them great credit for doing things they didn't do? I agree with what you're saying in essence, but that one parcel isn't the key. The key is a three-part thing. It has to have conveyance from the lake, it has to have treatment in marsh areas, and that just has to happen. And it has to have a reservoir that is a dynamic reservoir where you might have 500 billion gallons capability, but you'd constantly take out some, like I think Mark figured about 135 billion, and that would work. But we desperately need people in office.
I can't do anything. Of course you're right. Everybody in the room knows you're right. And you've laid out exactly the plan that Eric and I discussed and which we supported you on. We just didn't, when the chief of the Corps of Engineers said, I'm not going to spend $1 billion making a new outlet from the lake when I've got 2 canals running south from the lake which we can use. He said, just as simple as that. You guys go buy the piece of land where these canals can be attached to it, and you've got your flowway. Okay, General? What are you going to say at that moment? He said, for heaven's sake, why are you waiting?
Why delay it? Just so you know, the Everglades Coalition in January, early at their seminar here at the conference, Send It South conference, remember it was January 8th and 9th? They passed a resolution to buy this land, a 46,000 acre option.
May I just comment on that briefly? I know you're on time. The ballot language on Amendment 1, though, if go back, pull up the Land and Water Conservation Amendment online, you'll see it. The ballot language is still on the website. It specified, it gives authorization for monies from Amendment 1 to go to purchase land within the Everglades agricultural area. Yes. Right. The two, that plus debt service on bonds, clearly stated. So Amendment 1, they're looking at, in the out years, over $1 billion that's going to be available for a number of topics. You know, Everglades, estuaries, springs, whatnot. If this land was, if there was a political will to buy the land, you have options. You could either take a portion of the first year Amendment 1 and use those dollars, because again, Amendment 1 is not a 20-year lifespan. So if we got an opportunity in year 1, maybe take it. The second is you can bond these dollars. And if you bond this program or you bond this deal, then it shores up additional dollars to go to these other programs. So the state of Florida, with the passage of Amendment 1, has the capacity to do it, but also has the financial toolbox to make it. It's back to your point. We could do this today in this room because we have the political will and we have the advocacy to do it. But there needs to be that force in Tallahassee to say all the noise needs to be shut out of the room. Turn the noise off and look at the problem and how do we fix it. And it's simply buying the land. Our elected officials can't miss this opportunity.
So what we'll do is and that was excellent, what we'll do is we'll reference Amendment 1, reference that language, and also reference in it that there's other options for other vehicles for the money.
You gotta put it in perspective. Amendment 1 will generate between 750 million a year, and we're talking about 350 million perhaps to buy this next option.
One final question.
So that can be, I mean, it's sure, the statement is, a lot of that money should go to other projects, but the governor making $5 billion statement over 20 years, that's 250 million a year. So there's plenty of money left to do these other things. But if we take this option, which is available till October, and don't forget the state legislature is going to make their appropriation decision by April. That's why they're meeting committees now. So we got to get up there, got to push this course and say, put in your appropriations using these first funds and leverage them or bond them or however you want to do it, but take advantage of this option, buy this land, because it's valuable land for parts of it restoration, part to trade or exchange, and then part to build that project that we need to stop the discharges and restore the flow cell.
I'd just like to finish up with Carl's statement. This is the greatest test. Carl's put his finger on it. Or whether the people will be heard, or whether special interests will overcome a deal that has to be made. Okay. It's about as simple as that. Will the people's voice be heard?
Excellent. So you'll write that to resolution for us?
In my letters to every member of the legislature in South Florida.
I've got your cell phone number. A few more questions. James, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we got to move on.
My question is to both Eric and to Paul, and I want to go back to the more immediate concern of water from the lake going east or west. My question is, we can do the reservoirs, I'm in total agreement of what's being said, by the way, but my question is, what a lot of people don't realize, and Dr. Reed brought it up, we already have 2 very large canals that head south. And my question has always been, when all of this was going on, they only choose to send it east and they only choose to send it west when they have had the capability for over 100 years to send it south. Okay, so why are we reinventing the wheel when we have I'm talking now a position of emergency, not when we're long-term storage and cleaning, but when we're trying to drain the lake rapidly for safety reasons. Why isn't that water going south now?
Well, to answer very quickly, the capacity east and west is about 16,000 cubic feet per second in capacity compared to 4,000 cubic feet per second going south. Total maximum outflow. So even if you opened all those gates wide open, the place to put it, they're putting it is east and west, and that's the primary capacity. Going south with it, they have water quality issues, water storage, the water filling up the water conservation areas and drowning tree islands, and the water quality. But what we need are 3 things. Just remember 3 things. We need conveyance, which is that movement of water out of the lakes and out. The storage, to hold it for temporary dynamic storage, and the treatment of that water as it goes out through stormwater treatment areas to the Everglades. And that needs to be enough of that capacity, all three of those capacities, storage, conveyance, and treatment, enough to stop the damaging discharges to these reservoirs. Stop them. 1.4 million acre feet we need to store, treat, and convey south to the Everglades.
Okay.
Very simple, and they don't have that, structurally, they don't have that capacity right now.
And Dr. Reed also stated very clearly, which we've known for a long time, that, and Dr. Gray mentioned it at a Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council meeting, the largest amount of pollutants entering the lake is coming from the St. Lucie River, which is from the Orlando area. So somewhere along the line, you got to clean up their Kissimmee River, excuse me, the Kissimmee River. And somewhere along the line, we got to make the Mouse House clean up its water too before it comes to us, and we have to.
Paul, and then we really, Paul.
I'm going to give my